There was a woman named Ruth who lived completely alone in a small brick house in northern Michigan with one orange tabby cat named Biscuit beside her. Ruth was 73 years old. She walked the same gravel path to her mailbox every single morning and made the same cup of chamomile tea at the same hour. Ruth was healthy by every measure. Her doctor confirmed it every 6 months. Blood pressure was stable, and her heart was strong, and nothing felt wrong at all. But one Tuesday morning in the middle of November, Biscuit did something he had never done once in 9 full years of living in that house beside her. He climbed onto her chest while she sat in her old recliner, and he refused to move. She pushed him off gently, and he came right back and pressed harder. That night, Biscuit followed her from the kitchen to the bathroom to the bedroom and back again. He sat outside the shower door and cried until she finally opened it. Ruth told her daughter on the phone the very next morning. She laughed about it and said Biscuit was probably just getting dramatic and needy in his old age. 4 days later, Ruth collapsed on the tile floor of her kitchen. A blood clot had formed silently in her left leg and traveled straight to her lung. She survived only because her daughter had driven over that same morning after hearing something strange in her mother's voice during the phone call the night before. When the paramedics came through the front door, Biscuit was sitting right on top of Ruth's chest, not panicking and not hiding, just sitting there steady and watching her breathe. The lead paramedic told Ruth's daughter something she would remember for the rest of her life. He said in 30 years of calls he had seen this exact thing before. He said, "Cats do not sit on your chest like that for no reason. Something has already changed inside your body and you simply cannot feel it happening yet." Ruth came home from the hospital 11 days later. Biscuit met her right at the front door. He sniffed her once and walked to his bed and finally slept. He had not slept properly in 4 straight days. The staff at the animal boarding facility said he paced his kennel the entire time she was gone, every single night. Most people hear a story like Ruth's and call it coincidence. But what happened in that house has happened in hospitals and nursing homes and living rooms around the world. And the people who study animal behavior and sensory biology for a living stopped calling it coincidence a long time ago. They started calling it biological detection instead. Your cat has been watching you carefully every single day of its life. Not because it is bored and not because it wants food, because it is reading your body constantly. And when something shifts inside you, something too small and too early for you to notice on your own, your cat notices it first. This is not folklore, this is biology. What you're about to hear are 5 specific signs that your cat is not just being sweet or affectionate. These are the signs your cat is trying to warn you. And if you recognize even one of these 5 signs happening in your own home right now, do not ignore it, because Ruth almost did, and it nearly cost her everything. Sign number 1. Your cat suddenly begins sleeping on your chest after months or even years of choosing to sleep somewhere else in the house entirely on its own. This is not random affection, and it is not a phase. Cats are creatures of territory and routine. When they break a pattern they held for years, something specific triggered it. Your chest is not just a warm surface to your cat. It is the one place where your heart rate and breathing rhythm and body temperature are all easiest to monitor at once. A cat lying flat on your chest can feel your heartbeat shift by a single beat per minute. It can detect a change in your breathing depth long before you ever can. Most people miss this completely. They think their cat is being cute and they post a photo online. But your cat did not choose your chest for comfort. It chose your chest for data. Researchers at the University of Lincoln in England found that cats form distinct attachment bonds with their owners and actively respond to physiological changes happening inside their bodies. When your body chemistry shifts even slightly, your cat can detect volatile organic compounds released through your skin and breath that change well before symptoms ever appear outwardly. These are the same chemical markers that trained medical detection dogs are taught to identify in hospitals. But nobody trained your cat to do this. It learned your baseline scent entirely on its own. So when your cat suddenly abandons its favorite sleeping spot on the couch and begins pressing its full weight against your chest every single night, it is not just seeking affection. It is monitoring you from the closest position it can reach, and it moved there because whatever it detected inside your body was serious enough to require constant direct contact. Sign number 2. Your cat begins staring at one specific part of your body over and over again. Not your face and not your hands, one fixed spot that it returns to. Cat owners report this behavior constantly all around the world. The cat stares at a knee or a side of the abdomen or a spot on the neck and keeps coming back to it. This is not idle curiosity. Cats have between 45 and 200 million olfactory receptors compared to the roughly 5 million that humans carry inside their nasal passages. That means your cat can smell a chemical change happening beneath your skin in one specific region of your body before any medical scan or blood test ever catches it. There are documented cases of cats persistently pawing at or sniffing one particular area of their owner's body for days. Weeks later, a tumor was found in that exact same location. A nursing home in Providence, Rhode Island became famous around the world because of a cat named Oscar who lived on the third-floor dementia ward for over a decade. Staff began noticing that Oscar would quietly curl up beside specific patients in the hours just before they passed away. He was accurate more than 100 consecutive times. Researchers at Brown University studied Oscar's behavior and concluded he was likely detecting ketones and other biochemical compounds that the human body releases as it begins to shut down. Your cat may not live in a hospital or a nursing home, but it lives with you every single day, and it has memorized your scent so precisely that any deviation registers immediately. So when your cat locks its gaze on one specific part of your body and keeps returning to that same spot again and again, it is not being strange or obsessive. It has found something there. And it is telling you about it the only way it knows how, with its eyes and with its focus and with a silence that most people completely misread. Sign number 3. A cat that has always been fiercely independent suddenly begins following you from room to room as though it cannot bear to let you out of its sight. This one catches people completely off guard because independent cats almost never change their daily behavior pattern unless something in the environment or in their bonded person has shifted significantly. You walk to the kitchen and the cat follows. You go upstairs and the cat follows. You sit down in a chair and the cat sits directly beneath it on the floor. Stay with me on this one because this particular sign is the one that most people explain away first. They say the cat is just bored or lonely or getting older. But researchers at Oregon State University found that cats actively track their owners through auditory and spatial mapping and build a detailed mental model of where you are at all times. When a cat that normally lets you leave a room without flinching suddenly refuses to let you walk out of its sight, it means its internal tracking system has flagged something new. Your scent changed or your gait shifted or your breathing rhythm altered. Something in the daily data your cat collects from you no longer matches the healthy baseline it memorized long ago. So the cat follows you everywhere, not because it has become clingy in its old age, because it is conducting active surveillance and it needs more information before it can stand down. Think carefully about what that really means for a moment. Your cat built a complete health profile of you without you ever knowing, and now its data says that profile has changed. In the wild, cats do not follow other animals unless they are actively hunting prey or protecting something they consider their own. Inside your home, the same two drives still apply. And if your cat is clearly not hunting a mouse behind the couch, then it is doing the other thing. It is protecting you from something it can sense that you cannot feel yet. This is not magical thinking or spiritual superstition. This is the same survival instinct that has kept the domestic cat alive and thriving for more than 10,000 years on this planet. Every single step your cat takes behind you through the hallway or the kitchen is a conscious decision. It chose to follow instead of resting. That costs energy, and cats never waste it. So if your once fiercely independent cat has suddenly become your constant shadow in the house, sit with that thought for a long, quiet moment and ask yourself honestly what changed recently. Because your cat already knows exactly what changed, and the fact that it altered its entire behavior pattern just to stay physically near you should tell you how serious this is. Now here's where everything about this story shifts, because up until this point you have been hearing about what your cat does, but you have not yet heard why it stays. Science can explain the raw detection, the olfactory receptors, and the volatile compounds and the chemical markers in sweat and breath. That part is biology and it belongs in a textbook. But science has never been able to fully explain why a cat that detects illness in its owner moves closer to the danger instead of pulling away from it entirely. In the rest of the animal kingdom, sick creatures are avoided or abandoned, predators leave wounded prey behind, and pack animals push the weak ones to the edges of the group. But your cat does the exact opposite of all of that. It comes closer to you. It presses against your body. It refuses to leave your side no matter what you do. That is not detection anymore. That is devotion. And devotion is not a word you will find defined in any biology journal or veterinary research textbook anywhere in the entire world. Something much deeper than instinct is happening when your cat chooses to stay right beside you during the most vulnerable and uncertain moment of your entire life without being asked to. That is the part of this whole story that changes absolutely everything. Because the signs your cat gives you are not just medical warnings. They are acts of deliberate protection from a creature that owes you nothing. Your cat did not sign a contract with you. It did not take a medical oath. It simply decided on its own that your life was worth guarding, and it has been doing exactly that every day. So the next time your cat does something that seems strange or out of character, do not laugh it off. What your cat already knows about your body might be the very thing that saves your life. Sign number 4. Your cat presses its nose and face directly against yours while you're sleeping at night and holds that position there without pulling away for long stretches of time. Most people who experience this find it adorable and harmless. They might snap a quick photo and move on with their morning, but this specific behavior serves a very particular biological function. When a cat presses its nose and open mouth against your face at close range, it is actively sampling the air you exhale with every breath you take while lying still. Changes in your blood sugar levels, kidney function, active infection markers, and hormonal balance all alter the chemical composition of your exhaled breath in ways completely invisible to you. But to a cat carrying up to 200 million scent receptors and a vomeronasal organ built specifically to process pheromones and chemical signals, every breath you take is an open medical file. Your cat is not nuzzling your face because it finds you comforting. It is reading you at the molecular level. And it chose the stillest, most vulnerable hour of your night to run its deepest scan. This is exactly why so many cat owners around the world report that their cats began pressing against their faces in bed weeks before a major health event was finally discovered by a doctor. The cat detected it first, not because it possesses psychic abilities, but because it was paying attention to your body at a level of precision that no machine in any hospital can match at that range. Your breath told your cat something was changing inside you, and your cat responded to that information not by running away and not by hiding under the bed, but by pressing even closer to your face. In the animal kingdom, approaching a weakened or sick body is always a calculated risk. Your cat took that risk willingly every single night, not once and not twice. Every night it pressed closer. Sign number 5. Your cat walks to the nearest doorway and positions itself directly between you and the exit, and then refuses to move no matter how many times you try to redirect it. This is the sign that stops most people cold when they hear it described out loud. Because nearly everyone who has lived with a cat for more than a few years has seen this exact behavior. You're sitting in your favorite chair in the living room. Your cat walks calmly to the doorway and turns around to face you and sits. It does not blink or groom or look away. In the wild, cats always position their bodies directly between a perceived threat and whatever living thing they have chosen to protect. Veterinary behaviorists have documented this guard posture for decades. When your cat sits between you and the nearest door in your home, it is not trying to block your path. It is blocking whatever it believes might eventually come through that doorway and reach you. Some people see this behavior and dismiss it immediately as simple territorial instinct and nothing more. But territorial cats guard empty spaces and rooms. Protective cats guard specific people. The intent is completely different. Your cat is not protecting the room you're sitting in. It is protecting you personally. And the fact that it chose to face you instead of facing the door itself tells you everything you need. It already assessed what is on the other side of that door. Now, it is watching you carefully to make sure you're still all right. That is not territorial behavior. That is a vigil. Nobody ever talks about this part because most of us were taught from childhood that cats are selfish creatures who only care about food and warmth and finding a soft place to sleep. But every single cat owner over the age of 50 already knows the real truth deep down, because they have seen it with their own eyes in their own hallways at 2 in the morning. A cat sitting completely still in a dark doorway, staring directly at them, refusing to move from that spot. And something about the way it looked at them made them feel genuinely watched over. Not watched, watched over. There's a real difference between those two things. And your cat understands that difference, even if you have forgotten it was possible for any animal to care that deeply. So here's what absolutely no one is going to tell you on any medical website, or in any veterinary office, or anywhere else that you search for answers about your health today. You're fully allowed to believe that your cat knew something was wrong inside your body before any doctor or any test ever did. You're allowed to trust what your cat told you. You're allowed to take it seriously and act on it when your cat suddenly changes its entire behavior pattern around you. That is not silly or irrational. That is called paying attention. Your cat cannot speak a single word to you. It cannot call an ambulance or drive you to the hospital, but it can refuse to leave your side, and that is exactly what it does. It can press its full weight against your chest at night. It can follow you through every single room. It can stare at one spot on your body until you finally stop and ask what it sees, and maybe, just maybe, you will listen this time. Because every single person who survived a story like Ruth said the exact same thing afterward when someone asked them how they knew something was wrong. They said the cat told them, not with words and not with any sound at all, with presence. The cat simply refused to behave normally, and that was finally enough to make them pay attention. You do not need a peer-reviewed study to validate what you already felt at 3 in the morning when your cat climbed onto your chest and stared at you with eyes that refused to close. You already knew in that moment that something was different about the way your cat was looking at you. You felt it in your whole body, and your cat confirmed it by doing the one thing it could. It stayed right there on your chest, and it did not move. That is not random instinct. That is not a coincidence. That is a small, quiet creature choosing your survival over its own comfort. If hearing that does not move you, then nothing in this world ever will. But if you're sitting here right now remembering a specific moment when your cat made you wonder, trust that memory completely, because your cat was not acting weird or strange that particular night. It was being brave, and it was doing the only thing in its power to try to keep you alive. Ruth still lives in that same small brick house in northern Michigan today. She is 75 years old now. Her mailbox is still waiting at the end of that same gravel path. She still makes the same cup of chamomile tea at the same hour every single morning. But there is one thing in her daily routine that changed permanently after that Tuesday in November. Every night before she goes to bed, Ruth walks over to her old recliner and sits down. She does not reach for the TV remote, and she does not pick up a book. She waits for Biscuit. And within 2 minutes of her sitting down, every single night without fail, Biscuit walks slowly across the living room and climbs directly onto her chest once more. She puts one hand on his warm back. She feels his weight settle against her ribs. She listens to him purr, and she counts her own heartbeat underneath the weight of his body. Ruth does not call this a medical checkup, and she does not call it a spiritual ritual either. She calls it their agreement. He watches over her, and she listens, and they keep each other safe. Her daughter asked her one evening why she seemed to trust a cat more than a blood test from her own doctor. Ruth said the blood test only visits her twice each year. She said Biscuit comes every single night of her life without being asked. The blood test does not follow her to the kitchen or sit outside her shower and cry for her. She said the real difference between a test and a cat is simple. The test does not care one bit whether you live or die afterward, but the cat does. And you can feel it. You thought all this time that you were the one taking care of your cat. You buy its food, you clean its litter, you drive it to the vet whenever something seems wrong. But every single night when the lights go out and the whole house finally gets quiet, and your cat walks across the dark hallway just to find you, the roles reverse completely. Your cat becomes the caretaker in that moment, the silent watcher, the one standing steady guard between you and whatever the long night might decide to bring while you sleep completely unaware. You're not the protector in this story. You never actually were. Your cat chose you a long time ago. It memorized your scent and your rhythm and your breath and your heartbeat. And the very moment any one of those familiar things shifted even slightly from their normal pattern, your cat was already there. Already watching, already pressing closer, already doing what it always does for you. You did not notice because you were never supposed to. Your cat did not need your awareness or your gratitude or your permission. It just needed you to survive the night. That was enough. If your cat has ever done any one of these 5 things, even once, then you already know deep down that this entire video was about you. You felt it the moment it started playing. And somewhere in your house right now, at this very moment, your cat is probably sitting quietly and watching you. Not because it wants something from you, because it wants something for you. One more safe day, one more peaceful night, one more morning where you walk down that path to the mailbox and come home and sit in your chair and feel its weight settle on your chest. Tell us in the comments about the specific moment your cat did something that made you stop and truly wonder. Do not tell us what you think it meant. Tell us what you felt. Because your cat already told you the truth a long time ago. The only question left now is whether you're finally ready to hear it. And if you're watching this right now, you're